Hey, Shalom Israel. We're back with part 5, Accounting to Shabuot, or the Feast of Weeks. And today we're going to be looking at Leviticus chapter 23, verses 15 and 16. And I'll go ahead and read from the Scriptures version. And from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourselves 7 completed Sabbaths. Until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering to Yahuwah. This is probably one of the most controversial areas of this little study we're looking at, verses 15 and 16. Now, we've already covered, for those who haven't, that are just jumping in, that this Sabbath in question, verse 15, is really where the debate is, because the morrow after that Sabbath, you start your count. And there's two major camps on this. And I've kind of been talking about the Sabbath in question is the high Sabbath of the 15th, where the morrow after would be fixed the 16th day of the first month. Now, there is another method that a lot of people in the Hebrew roots movement use. I call it the Sadducee method of counting the Omer. And I want to describe that a little bit to you so you kind of can be aware of that, especially within light of what we're reading right now. So the Sadducees, when they would count the Omer, when they read that word Sabbath there, they were thinking it was the weekly Sabbath in question. So the morrow after would be the first day of the week. That's the Omer wave offering. What that would mean is if you count 50 days later to the festival of Shabuot, you would always land on the first day of the week. But the reality is that true? Does the scriptures back that up, or do we find examples where Shavuot did not land on the first day of the week? And that's what we're looking at today. And I want to just give you one proof text in the book of Shabuot in chapter 19. And this is actually in the year of the Exodus when they came out. It tells us this. This is verse 1. And in the 3rd month, after the children of Israel had came out of the land of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, on this day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. So I just want to give context there. It's the 3rd month. They're in the wilderness of Sinai. And Yah basically proposes to Israel. And Israel says, yeah, we do. We want to be these special people, a set apart people. So after they say, we do, or we will, in verse 10 it states this. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, go to the people and set them apart today and tomorrow, and they shall wash their garments, and shall be prepared by the 3rd day. For on the 3rd day Yahuwah shall come down upon Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. Skipping to verse 15. And he said to the people, be prepared by the 3rd day. Do not come near a wife. And it came to be on the 3rd day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain. And the voice of the shofar was very strong. And all the people who were in the camp trembled. So 4 times in Exodus 19 it tells us that the 3rd day, the 3rd day, the 3rd day, the 3rd day. And a lot of people, there's a lot of debate about what this 3rd day is. We know it's not the 3rd day of the month, meaning day 3 of month 3, because that would never add up to 50 days, no matter how you count the Omer. So what is this 3rd day reference to? Well, I'm not going to get into all the details, but I will leave a link below to an article that gives some historical information, some astronomical information that ties in the scripture and gives a good, I believe, evidence that this can be the 3rd day of the week, literally the 3rd day. And there is also a thematic connection in the book of Genesis in chapter 1. I'll just turn there real quick, where it tells us this. And Elohim said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place, and let dry land appear. And it came to be so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the collection of waters he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, and the plant that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it came to be so. And the earth brought forth grass, and the plant that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning the third day. So we see this thematic connection going back to Genesis. On the third day, this first fruit sprung forth from the earth. So I just want to point out, if we take the scripture really literal in Exodus 19, and if that event happened on the third day, as the scripture says, it would totally prove the Sadducee method of counting the Omer wrong. Now, we've already looked at other evidence that that Sabbath in question in verse 11 and 15 is actually referring to the high Sabbath of the 15th day, meaning the morrow after would be the 16th. The Septuagint backs that up. The book of Joshua backs that up. The death, burial, and resurrection of Yahushua Messiah backs that up. And now we see in the book of Exodus chapter 19 that Yah talked to his people, Israel, on the third day. When we come back, we're going to look a little bit closer at the language involved, specifically in verse 15 and 16, and see if we can understand how to count the Omer correctly. Shalom.